hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ball and All podcast. This is your weekly basketball podcast during the basketball season. We cover all different types of basketball, BAL, NBA, and WNBA. Currently, we're focusing on the NBA Finals as the event, similar to how we did the Basketball Africa League. And then after this, we'll look into the WNBA, which is heating up. Some really interesting games happening. And so please do go check that out. But some admin to go through, please follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my channel at my YouTube channel. My name is Mpho, but my Twitter handle is Mpho. So to my Instagram handle, the show is on Instagram and live. No, not on Instagram, on Twitter. I beg your pardon. And so always post it up there as well as on YouTube. We're doing an NBA Finals recap. We've done it in Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. Going into Game 4, Celtics led 2-1 at the TD Garden. They needed the Warriors needed something special to keep them in the series because a lot of people thought if it went to 3-1, that's 3 championship points to the Celtics. They have 3 chances to close it out. Only one team has actually lost from a 3-1 position in the finals. That was South Same Warriors against LeBron. But obviously chances of that not happening. However, there was a question of whether the finish line, the white line fever, could get into the Celtics. And you could say so it did, because when we're looking at Game 4, it was the more experienced team that closed it out in the end. It was very tight. It was very close throughout the game. There wasn't a team that went on a 10-point lead. But then at the end, the Warriors prevailed 107-97. Off a masterclass from Steph Curry, he scored 43 points at a 53% field goal range rate, at a 50% three-point range rate. He also had 10 rebounds and 4 assists, which was so crucial. Those rebounds, I think, were very crucial because they started a lot of the transition play that they had. And to help him out there, Klay Thompson came out with 18 points, which is not normal Klay, but it's something somewhere there. And then obviously Andrew Wiggins, who is their underrated, I think he's their underrated star, 17 points from his 43 minutes. He had 16 rebounds and 2 assists in that really incredible double-double. I think he's their underrated. Yes, Steph's amazing, but Andrew Wiggins consistently giving you 18, 20 points per game for the Warriors is so crucial. And I think it's one of the reasons why I think they got over the line, because everybody else just couldn't. It was 2 points from Otto Porter, 2 points from Draymond Green, who doesn't feel like shooting anymore. 6 points from Kevin Looney. He had 14 points from Jordan Poole, which was really good off the bench. Bielitsa played 9 minutes and didn't score a point. Whereas on the Celtics side, Jason Tatum came out with 23 points. We thought this was the Jason Tatum game where he was going to go score 40, and it looked like he was on his way to score 40. But in the second half, he slowed down. He only scored 7 points in the second half from his 23. Al Horford only scored 6. Marcus Smart actually came through with 13 points in the second half. But in total, let's look at it in total. Jason Tatum, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. Some of those assists were insane. And he also had 3 blocks. This Celtics team is just incredible on defense. Al Horford, 8 points. Rob Williams, the third, 7 points, 4 assists, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was really good on there. Jaylen Brown, 21 points. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy with the mentality. He's got that elite mentality. Jason Tatum, sometimes if it's not falling, he's not gonna give it to you. And then you've also got Marcus Smart with 18 points, Derek White with 16 points. And that's the thing about this series. So if you look at this series, right, Steph is the best player in the series. So if you had to rank all the players, Steph's number 1. But there's a whole lot of Celtics before you even get to the number 2 Warriors player. So, for instance, I would put Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart as 2, 3, 4 after Curry, and then you have to then decide whether you want to put in Robert Williams III. I'd put Robert Williams III there. So the first 5 players, 1 Warrior, 4 Celtics. After that, you have to question whether Al Horford and the difference between Al Horford and Andrew Wiggins. I think the way Al Horford's playing on both ends of the court, even though Andrew Wiggins is putting up the points, because he's more talented than Horford, I put Horford there at 6. Then Wiggins and Klay coming after that, and that kind of tells you what the series is. This series needs, it's similar to that to the series that the Warriors played against Dallas. It was Luka at the top, and then everybody else from the Warriors, and then you had Jalen Brunson and some of the other Dallas players after that, and effectively the team with the group of very good players between 2 and 5 and 2 and 6 is the one that wins the series over above the team with the superstar talent, and that's what tonight was. That's what the series feels like. However, in tight games, in big moments, in game sevens, and I've always believed this. In game sevens, the team with the best player on the court will always come through. And today was a big moment in the series. It could have swung either way. If the Celtics held serve, it would have probably been over when they came back around again next week, Thursday, to Boston, and would have had a new NBA champion. But the Warriors, with Steph Curry, they were on fire. Well, Steph carried them. He carried them all the way through. And it was so good to see because Steph was shooting in with hands in his face contested. Al Horford had him. There was only one time where Steph got or 2 times Steph got separation. One was when Al Horford decided to hedge while he was waiting for Jalen Brown to come through. That gives Steph, and he shot that three. There was another time where Steph was open because Gary Payton II effectively is a blocker now. So he comes off the screen action. Screen's done, but he stands in the path of the man trying to switch, and that gives Steph separation, and he shot those. It was really good to see how the Warriors. But the thing about the Warriors was their offense was very early, so they tried to either get transition plays off of the turnovers of the Celtics early on in the game, which kind of got everything going, but they also try to get themselves into early actions. Don't let the defense set and let themselves go through. And largely out of Steph, they didn't do a lot of the pick and rolls. They also did one thing that I suggested was to move the ball around. Let the defense show you what it is. They got some really nice looks there. But Steph is a world-class talent. He managed so in the first half, you could see that the Warriors were struggling to get to the paint, and they were struggling to defend the paint. With the Celtics doing really well, but in the second half, the Warriors were driving at will. Um, Andrew Wiggins was key in that. He just opened up, was a freight train. As everybody got fouls, Andrew Wiggins just kept on going downhill. Steph as well, he tried to open up. Clay tried to also go downhill as well. There were some layups that he missed, but the big glaring thing, and if they lost this game, this is what we'd be talking about. Draymond Green. You need to be an option offensively. You're great defensively, but you need to be an option. You can't be standing underneath the rim and let the ball swing. It looks pretty, but you've got the best chance to shoot. If you're not going to take it, the Celtics are going to be like, oh, well, we're just going to block the passing lanes, which a couple of times created turnovers. So that for me was the one. I was like, wait, what's going on with Draymond? Like, dude, like, we understand you're this great defense player. I'm a fan of defense. Your defense is like porn to me because it's so good. And I love the way both teams are defending. But Draymond, come on, dude. When you're underneath the basket, put it up, get the foul, do something, be important to the team. And so that's what was going. But Steph was just out of this world. He cooked them. Like I said, the slowdown between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, who scored 7 and 6 points in the second half, is the reason why the Celtics lost this game. They were on a tear in the first half. They were shooting at will. They had lots of confidence. But as that fourth quarter started, it started to wane. And if I look at those fourth quarter numbers for the Celtics, because you could see it. So they were focusing on trying to stop the Warriors in the third quarter, and they did. I think the Warriors won the third quarter by 5 points. However, in the fourth quarter, Jason Tatum 1 for 5 from the field, 3 points. Al Horford 1 for 2 from the field, 3 points. But that's Al. Well, he's 50%, so he's great. Jason Tatum shot 20%. Jalen Brown 6 points, 3 for 7. So that tells me Jalen Brown didn't even score in the third quarter. Marcus Smart 4 points in the fourth quarter, 1 for 4. Derek White 1 for 2, and that was largely because the Celtics kept on settling for threes. They weren't willing to drive in. They weren't willing to use their physicality to get inside. Yes, what the Warriors were doing then, it was a box and one. And it was funny because the whole series they couldn't do that. Now, in the fourth quarter, the Celtics were trying to drive in, and everyone just collapsed. So whenever the Celtics beat the one man, either be it Gary Payton or Steph, they'd collapse. Draymond, Wiggins would collapse. And there were some Bielitsa minutes there, which were very interesting to see. and then collapse. And so it was quite interesting to see how then the Celtics would choose to go for the open shot outside, but the moment and the pressure and everything else because they were close, they're needing buckets to score. It's really easy to shoot comfortably, and your body's easy when you're front running. When you're chasing games or the game is tight, and that's why Steph is so great. That's why Steph is so great because Steph, even in those big moments, he puts it up. He does not have he's got no confidence issues, and he doesn't get tired. And he started driving to the basket as well. So they kept on punishing. They got some stops in the fourth quarter, which is what they couldn't do for the first three quarters. And it was the first time we actually saw a Warriors defense, Clay moving his feet, trying to get in front of the man. Previously throughout the series, Clay was a turnstile. Steph was a turnstile. This time, no, making it hard. And like the whole game, the first three quarters, the Celtics would just go right-handed dribble down the paint, and Jeff Van Gundy's like forced him to do something. Um, Draymond allowed Al Horford the baseline, and Al took the baseline. He took it, gave a nice little dish inside for Robert Williams the third to finish. It's things like that. But in the fourth quarter, it was done. They weren't giving up anything, and that could be the quarter that changes the series. That could be the quarter that moves the series because now we're all square. It's now a best of three with two games in the Bay. Can they do it? The one thing for the Warriors is you need Steph to do this again, twice, two times more. If Steph scores 40 points twice in the next three games, the Warriors are the winners. If he does not, you could find that the Celtics will win because the Celtics can win with the defense that they have. If they stop Steph, it's over. Nobody else can come up and score. Unless if you want to see a game 5 Clay or game 6 Clay. Is that going to happen? Hopefully. If Clay balls out, he'll be there. And Wiggins, if he balls out, maybe. But he's always like 18, 20, 18, 20, 20, max maybe 25. But you need Clay. He needs help. Steph needs help. He's cooking now. He's cooking with gas. Um, and that's where the momentum lies. But he needs help, and that's the thing about the series. He needs help defensively because you can't expect him. And this was the James Harden thing. You can't expect him to go be great offensively and also great defensively. Steph's doing both. It's one of the greatest playoff runs I've seen from him. And if he wins if the Warriors win this, he deserves MVP because he's carrying them on his back. He needs help. On the other end, the Celtics need to be a lot more clinical on offense. They need to stop those random turnovers. The one thing I was one time when we were going down the court for transition, and there was a man on cross court, and all I was praying for was for that pass not to go there. They love these cross court passes, and the Warriors just kept on cutting those lanes in the fourth quarter, and sometimes in the first half. I was surprised that the Warriors didn't punish the Celtics a lot, but they need to stop those turnovers. They also need Jason Tatum to actually get it. They've gotten 2-2 without Jason Tatum actually. He's leading. He's leading them, but he's not in scoring. But he's not the Jason Tatum that we know. His field goal percentage is down. He's like in the mid-30s. Like today was in the mid-30s. You can't have that. You need him to be the leader, to step up. Jaylen Brown's got that, but Jaylen Brown doesn't have Jason Tatum's length and talent. Jason Tatum can shoot over anybody in the series, everybody, even Kevon Looney. You need to do that. The other thing I want to talk about before I go is this benching of Kevon Looney. Guys, respect Kevon Looney. Like, why are we going smaller with Otto Porter? Like, I didn't get that. It's like Steve Kerr's first ever adjustment to the Celtics was, no, let's go small. And he got punished. Let's go smaller. Like, and then Kevon Looney comes back. They're getting rebounds. They're getting offensive rebounds. They're actually contesting in the rim rather than just this thing. I love Otto Porter Jr., but Otto Porter Jr. is more of a replacement for Draymond or Wiggins rather than your center. You need another center, and it's an indictment on Wiseman's development. Why didn't they try and get Wiseman? I know he's been injured, but if you're not going to then play Bielitsa, but Bielitsa's now he actually did quite well defensively, and so I'm just not sure about that number 5 spot for the Warriors going forward because that's going to be quite key. If they go too small, they'll get punished. Robert Williams, the third, played 31 minutes, and it was a close game. And they are going to lose some games with him on it. But he for me is my Finals MVP for the Celtics. I see Jaylen Brown, and he's up there if the Celtics win. And I know the Writers are probably going to go offense, but the fact that Robert Williams III, whenever he's on the floor, the Warriors struggle to score. That tells me something. That tells me he's the guy. He's your Finals MVP. He's the reason why the Warriors are struggling right now. That Celtics offense, as we've always known, it's not great. They work together. They share the ball. They can shoot well. Derek White's shooting amazingly right now. But it's their defense. Their defense sets everything up. And yeah, but Game 5 in the Bay, best of three. If the Celtics win Game 5, it's over. That's it. Like I don't like it will take a massive, massive play from Steph to come back from that. But yeah, if the Warriors win Game 5, I wouldn't necessarily that's it because the Celtics have to go back home, and we saw these last two games how hard it is to win at the TD Garden, and also having traveled across country again away from home, them staying in hotel beds to close it out. That's why I say if the Celtics win Game 5, it's over. But if the Warriors win Game 5, the Celtics have one more shot, and I like the Celtics team as underdogs, like they did against Miami, like they were against Brooklyn, like they were against Milwaukee, rather than front runners. The Celtics team doesn't know how to be a front runner, and you were seeing that in this playoff series. They took, apart from beating the Nets, stickened the Bucks series, Game 7, even though they were playing better basketball. Net against the Heat, Game 7, even though they're playing better basketball. And that's what it's going to be. But outside of that, enjoy your day, enjoy your Saturday. I'll be back on Tuesday morning talking about what happened on Monday night. Game 5 is on Monday night, it's not on Sunday. So we'll be talking all things that happened on Game 5 on Tuesday morning. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great time. Remember to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mpho, and also on the YouTube channel. Outside of that, have a great weekend. Goodbye and lesale kakapis.